distance measurement, everything with an LBUS cable. This is my product group. That's it. You are mostly, all of you, you are focus pullers?
Yes.
Wonderful. Anyone already used the high-five hand unit? You have a lot to learn today. You use WCU4? Who used WCU4?
More than
WCU4?
yeah.
Who knows it?
WCU4.
Yeah.
Here nuclear.
Behind the evolution of WCU4, so those who know WCU4, they will also understand the high-five very easily. And most of you use C-Motion? Okay, also good. So C-Motion and ARRI, we are working together on the lens control system. So for example, the C-Force motors, the C-Motion motor and the ARRI motor, they're the same motor. They have the same LBUS chain. So if you know C-Motion, it's also quite an easy step up to get used to the ARRI system. So this is the high-five hand unit. The high-five is a 3-axis control unit, so you can control focus, iris, zoom, auxiliary, filters, any 3 axes that you like. You can also add more axes via user button, so basically we call it a 3-axis hand unit. Today we use the high-five to pull focus here. This is the focus pull. We have attached the C-Force mini motor. It's the latest motor we have with an update on the firmware which is coming. So you don't need to try this later, it gives you a very fast response. It's really different to what you know from this C-Motion system. So when you pull focus, you get a very immediate and fast reaction of the lens. It's very, very cool. Usually you could have like an iris control here and a zoom control here, but I also want to show you our new zoom module. So the setting before. This is the setting before. This is a zoom control unit, and we added an operator control unit. So these are actually 2 electronic devices. It's a setting before, this is this device, and this is an OCO1, operator control unit. And you can combine these for, I call it DIT or DP device. So we set it up that you can zoom with this joystick, so you can zoom with this joystick, and you can change the iris value. So you have 2 axes you could do, also focus here, iris, auxiliary, so any axis you could control with these devices. It is wireless. I come to the wireless function of ARRI in a minute, but you could also add it wired, so you could add an LBUS cable, but usually people prefer wireless. So we have a wireless network of the setting before, the high-five with the camera. That's what we have here today. What you also see from ARRI, you get the, we call it lens scales. The lens scales are very important. You see this axis, you see the focus value, the iris value, the zoom value, all on your handset. With ARRI systems, you get a lot of information on the hand unit. I will turn off the setting before and take all axes on the high-five. So it's easier to explain what's going on.
Example, if each person will have different height. Okay, so when they put a bug near to the leg or in the thighs or in the heart, according to that they have to adjust the height.
Exactly.
Yes, it's a preset. You have to set.
We
So
can
where the
check
bug
and show
is
it.
placed, that length will
Sir,
be place change.
இல்ல அது இப்போ எவ்வளவு டென்சிட்டில அது இதுவாகும் அது சார் எவ்வளவு டென்சிட்டில அது
முடிட்டோம் please முடிட்டோம்.
It works on the ultrasonic sound.
Okay.
Okay, so it depends.
So for example, someone is wearing coat.
Yes. Depends the cloth thickness. Only the loudness of the audio will get pitch. Until it gets 0, it will work. Even if it is 1 kilohertz, it will work.
So you can wear it in a pocket, you can wear it under these clothes. If you wear a thick cloth, this time it will work. You have this hand unit. Not the high-five, this one. So in this hand unit, you can set. You make a close-up with the bag in the pocket. And then you can speak. We call it an offset compensation. And you can do this on each bug. So each of these 4 bugs you can make an offset, and now it compensates. Not work.
Why I'm asking is we can't say that.
And this offset is stored in the bug. So you can, even if the bug is in the pocket, you can have.
They will wear coat also. That's why I'm asking. அதுதான் ஓகே நீங்க போட்டு அதுதான் டிவைஸ்
Very often they also hide it under the hair. If they have an excess with hair, they sometimes hide it under the hair, which works very good. Most of the time they use the horn, so in a range like 5 meters, like this distance, usually they always use the horn, because this always gives you a direct measurement of the thing in front of the camera. The bugs are very often used if you have a further away, or if you have multiple targets and you have a lot of disturbances. But very often in a close-up, we always recommend using the horns, and if you don't have a close-up, you can use the bugs perfectly. But when you have the system on a camera, of course you need to train with the system. The system is only as good as the person using it. So you need to know what it does. You need to know how to compensate for an offset. You also have you have modes in this system, and you can automatically change from a bug to the horn when somebody walks to the camera. So there are all these functions in the system that you need to learn when you have the system. So the first time you get the system, you should take at least 1 day to learn the system. We have tech talks online, so Leon Pierce from Focusbug and myself, we did a tech talk on how you can use the Focusbug unit with the hi-fi. Focusbug itself, they have tons of video from themselves and from users on their webpage that show you situations and how you can use the system. But when the first time you get this hi-fi and this Focusbug unit, make sure that you train with the system, because just using it, you need to know what you're doing. Like with every hand unit, you need to learn how the system is working. But we also did a lot of comparison tests, and you can do a lot of tricky shots. And with the support of Focusbug, the idea is also that with large format sensors, and sometimes you don't have rehearsal, sometimes you have live situations, and then you always need to be like you need to get it done always the first time. So there's no time for a second recording. So these are the situations where these systems are really, really important. This is a global phenomenon. We see globally that the complexity of focus pulling is really increasing. So your job is getting more difficult year by year. The way that the DPs work, they like to have the iris wide open. They like to use large format sensors. You have a depth of field for close-ups just millimeters. So this is really, really difficult, and that's why we have these systems, because we want to support you that you can full focus to perfection. That's our goal. We want to give you the tools that you can work properly. The work needs to be done by you. So you need to know how the system works, but we can give you the systems that allow this work to happen. That's our goal. Because I think the best is that you guys, you come out, you touch, we can make scenarios, we can use autofocus, we can use it, we can show you how the system works. But before I come to that, there are also some really details on the system that are important. Very often, when you are a focus puller, you might also need to change camera settings. I don't know how often in India, but internationally this is also the work of the first AC and focus puller to change camera settings if needed. So on the F5 you get a home page. This is the camera control page. So you can, for example, change the frame rate of the camera. You can change the frame rate from 50 frames to 30 frames. Just set, and now the camera is set to 29.970 frames. You can change the frame rate, white balance, shutter angle. You see the battery of the camera. You see the runtime of the camera. You see which recording format it is. You can change the SDI. You can change it with red lines on the SDI. Peaking can be turned on and off. You can even load camera settings. If you have multiple cameras, you don't need to go to each camera and change all the settings. You can store the settings and just say set camera A, camera B, camera C. So you can change the settings of a camera. Maybe also very important here is playback. So after a shot, after recording, the DP and the director, they want to review the material. And with the hi-fi, you have everything on your fingertips. You You just need to go into playback mode. So now you're in the playback mode. You see the last clip, you play the last clip. Because it was recorded with 60 frames, that's why it's now slow. You can speed up the recording, you can make it faster, you can make it slower, you can reverse it even, all with the high 5 limit. So if the DP says, please give me the last clip, you just press a button, you can play back the clip. I can play back a clip, for example, that we did in Mumbai. So this was a clip from Mumbai, you can just play back it, we did some autofocus test, you can fasten it up, you can play back. All these functions are just on your fingertips, which is very convenient. So you don't need to go to the camera and you can just stand there, play back, all with the thumb and with your finger. So it's very important, it saves you time, and it's just more advanced than anything else you could have at the moment. So you have all these camera control functions, you can change playback, you can change setting on the camera, you can control focus, iris, zoom, very precisely. Our motors, we have different motors, and we can also go into that detail. So we have a C-Force Plus motor, it's a big motor, which gives you a lot of power if you work on a vintage lens, an old lens, which rotates very hard. There's a lot of friction. We have a powerful motor, which we can also put on these lenses. We have the mini motor, which is like our universal motor. I always recommend the mini motor will cover you 90% of the time. We have a motor with integrated radio functionality, like this emotion motor, so we have a radio. You don't need to have motor control and camera for third-party cameras. You can control the camera function not only with ARRI, so ARRI camera control is always included in the Hi-5. But if you are on a Sony camera, you have a license for the Hi-5, and with the license you can also change the settings of a Sony camera. Sony Venice 1 and Venice 2. With RED cameras, the same. If you have our system, you have a license and you can change the settings on a Commodore, on a Raptor, DSM-2, DSM-3 cameras. All this is available for ARRI. So it's, yeah. I think now is best. If you
Now, Tobias, they ask is that they wish to see a demo or they wish to do a POC, like to check with the multiple remarks.
Sure.
They told that something like a 2-3% will stand in a different location or something in a different range. So can you show them how the autofocus works where they speak? Something like when the person one speaks, you have to focus first one. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பர்சன் பேசுறாரு, செகண்ட் பர்சன் பேசுறாரு, தேர்ட் பர்சன் பேசுறாரு. நீங்க இப்படி கூட ப்ளே பண்ணலாம்.
கேரக்டர் 1, கேரக்டர் 2, கேரக்டர் 3 அவ்வளவுதான் வந்துச்சு. ஹீரோ பேச ஹீரோயின் நம்ம 1 போட்டுக்கலாம், நம்பர் பேர் போட்டுக்கலாம்.
சோ இப்போ இது ஒரு மெஷின் தான் வச்சிருக்காங்க. சோ ஒரு மெஷின்
4 வைக்கலாம் சொல்றாரு. ஆமா புரியுது.
அதுதான் ரொம்ப முக்கியம். ஏன்னா இது வந்து ஒரு ஸ்பீக்கர். சோ இந்த ஸ்பீக்கர் வந்து காது கேட்காத ஒரு ஆடியோவை ரிலீஸ் பண்ணும். அல்ட்ராசோனிக் சவுண்ட் வேவ்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அந்த சவுண்ட பேஸ் பண்ணி தான். ஏன்னா இதுல வந்து 1 கிலோஹெர்ட்ஸ் வரும், இன்னொரு டிவைஸ்ல 2 கிலோஹெர்ட்ஸ் வரும், இன்னொரு டிவைஸ்ல 3 கிலோஹெர்ட்ஸ் வரும். ஸோ அதை பேஸ் பண்ணி தான் அவங்க ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்றாங்க.
இந்த பேண்ட் கண்ணுக்கு தான் ஃபோக்கஸ் வரும்.
கண்ணுக்கு தான் ஃபோக்கஸ் வரும். பட் என்னன்னாக்கா அவங்க எந்த இடத்துல வைக்கிறாங்களோ அதுக்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி ஹைட் அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம். அவ்வளவுதான். அது மட்டும் மேனுவலா ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணணும். ஸோ அவங்க எந்த லொகேஷன்ல வைக்கிறாங்களோ அந்த லொகேஷன் மாறும் போதெல்லாம் நம்ம வந்து ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணணும்.
இப்போ இங்கே வச்சா அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ணலாம். ஆமா இங்கே வச்சா அதுக்கேற்ற மாதிரி அது எப்படி அட்ஜஸ்ட் பண்ணுவோம்? அதெல்லாம் பண்ணானே.
Number 2, yeah. So he is not in focus. But
ஆர்மி கீழே இருக்குங்க.
Tobias, there's so many people around.
The question is,
you get the distance here, and he sits down and he moves forward, and you know you need to compensate by that. So you get the distance, and you manually change based on his position. So you follow him. Okay. So first, Now we make sure that we are on the
பைசா தப்பா இருக்கு.
இங்க ப்ரோக்ராம் எத்தனை ஃபீட்ல இருந்து எத்தனை ஃபீட் வாரீங்கன்றத முதல்ல மார்க் பண்ணி அது செட் பண்ணணும். செட் பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறம் மட்டும் தான்
அப்படியா?
நீங்க வந்துகிட்டே இருந்தா
எல்லாம் கையை கொடுப்பாங்களாமா?
இல்ல அப்படி ஒவ்வொரு நாட்டுக்கு ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராமிங் இருக்கு.
மேனுவலா ஒரு பாக்கெட் செட் பண்ணி வச்சிருந்தாரு.
We compensated the offset, so now we know that this offset is okay, and now we're ready to go.
From first point to last point.
You can go, I don't know, you can go back here.
எவ்வளவு தூரம் நான் போங்க?
ஜாவோ வெங்கட வீட்டுக்கு போகாத, வெங்கட வீட்டுக்கு போகாத.
வேற ஒண்ணும் இல்ல, இது மெஷர் எலக்ட்ரானிக் மெஷர்.
So I roll. So careful, I roll the camera. So rolling, you can come.
வாங்க சார்.
வாங்க. ஸ்பீட் கரண்ட்.
இப்போ திரும்ப வாங்க. இடையில ஒரு இன்டரப்ஷன் வரும்.
This is the playback.
Yeah.
ஃபார்வர்ட் பண்ணு.
You good? Okay. You can speed it up a little bit.
இருக்குதா? மைல்டா போயிட்டு வந்துச்சு.
வெங்கடேஷ் இது என்னன்னு புரிஞ்சுச்சா? ஆனா புரிஞ்சுச்சா?
நான் சொல்லுங்க.
So what do you think?
மெஷர் டேப் எடுக்கணும் இல்லையா?
So rolling, go. Good.
அவங்க டைலாக் மாத்திக்கலாம். அதுமே சொல்லுங்க. அந்த மாதிரி அது மாதிரி டிவைஸ் ஒண்ணுதான் இருக்குல்ல.
இப்போதைக்கு ஒண்ணுதான் இருக்கு. பட் மேக்ஸிமம் சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க.
எல்லாரும் கேட்டிருக்கேன் நான். 4 பேர் பேசுறது எப்படி இருக்கு?
Have a look.
சோ அப்ப வந்து அந்த பட்டன் பாருங்க. யார் இப்ப பேசுறாங்க?
யாரு அந்த மொட்டை தலை ரொம்ப டிஸ்டர்ப்
பண்ணிருக்காரு இங்க
பண்றாங்க.
கேளுங்க. இப்போ என்ன பண்ணிருக்காரு அது தெரியணும்ல. இதுல கரெக்ட்டா ஷாட் வந்துருச்சு. அவர் என்ன பண்ணிருக்காரு தெரிஞ்சா தானே நீங்க பண்ண முடியும். நீனும் கூட ஓகே.
இல்ல செட் பண்ணது இல்ல அது. அது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா நமக்கு இதாவுது. செட் பண்றதே இல்ல.
இல்ல இங்க லாக் பண்ணி பண்ணலாம்.
நான் ஒரு மேட்டர் சொல்லவா? அவன் அண்ணன் வந்து நேரா கேரு. அப்படியே வரணும். நீ மேல ஆப்ஷன் வந்து புடிச்சு.
ஆமா அதுல பட்டு பண்ண முடியாது. 4 வச்சு தான் பண்ண முடியும்.
ஆப்ஷன் இஸ் தேர்.
ஆக்சுவலா இதுக்காக தான் அது ஹெல்ப் பண்ணி கொடுத்திருக்காங்க. போன டைரக்டா வயர்லெஸ்.
கேபிள் வந்து இதுக்காக தாங்க போட்டுருக்காங்க. மல்டிபிள் கனெக்ஷன்.
சொல்றாங்க
தலை வெளில பிரதீப் அதான் பிரவீன் பாரு.
You can adjust for the measures with the finger. Just help you how far to press the signal. If you want to have a very long, like small angle, it's default. If you want to measure an object like this, you need to go to extra wide. Now you measure my shoulder. It's default. You don't measure my shoulder because it's too narrow. And you can adjust the angle, the angle. Exactly. The angle of this sound wave. And you can just change this by field of view. Default extra wide. So you can play like the important thing is you only have this unit. So you pull focus. and you don't need to put your hands away. You can look on the monitor, you can pull focus, and you can just adjust the things with the buttons here. You don't need to add a second device, you have no touch that you need to press. You can have everything on focus and just tell me, give me this distance, give me this distance, change the field of view. So you don't need to put your fingers away from the wheel. Exactly, and it changes what you see.
That time you told me that while repeats the battery,
it's an inbuilt old capacitor, so it's a it's a very expensive capacitor.
charge for that.
It's an energy storage inside. It's not a battery. It's a capacitor.
The main battery,
The main battery charges an internal capacitor. And this internal thing lasts about 40 seconds. If you wait now for about 1 minute, it will turn on. But it charges very fast. I don't know the exact Indian price. The whole system with the hand unit, with motors, with cables, it's about $20,000 US. So it's expensive. 16 lakhs. So this unit belongs to an Indian focus puller, Bobby. You know Bobby? Yeah. And he says it's for him. He gets every day he uses this unit. He gets money for using the unit. So he gets back money.
Enough, Ji.
Wow.
You get the distance, you can turn autofocus on. So now we're at the limit. We have multiple walls in between, but we can still pull focus like this, no problem.
That's good. Where are you from?
I'm
You're from Germany or
Austria.
Austria or Australia?
Austria.
Austria.
Yeah, next to Germany.
Yeah, the people can speak German.
Yeah, we talk German. Yeah.
So we can learn this.
Another thing, you can just use this lens file for this lens, and then everything is equal like
Another thing I want to ask you, there is an LTS in the lens. It automatically touch.
You can also change you can zoom in, you can operate everything by touch, but you can also turn touch off. For example, if it's raining, rain and touch is difficult, but you can just turn the touch off. You can go into page, menu, control setup, you can say disable touchscreen, select, so now touch is off, you cannot touch anymore. And now it says select.
This one is a waterproof also.
Touch is on again.
This one is a waterproof also.
It's waterproof, yeah.
Full unit.
Even in this, so don't worry. It's waterproof. I mean, this must be closed, but it's all waterproof. It's all sealed. There's no water coming into the system.
அப்போ மைல் தைரியமாக பண்ணலாம். அப்போ உள்ளே வச்சுலாம் பண்ண முடியாது.
அதுக்கு ஒரு டிஸ்பிளே
அதுக்கு கம்பெனி இப்போ லேட்டஸ்ட் அதுதான் சொல்கிறேன். அதுக்கு அடுத்த விஷயம் செட் பண்ணி